Clarity over complexity is one of the most underrated yet powerful principles when it comes to bringing an idea to life. We live in a world where overthinking is disguised as preparation, where people mistake more information for more progress, and where complexity is often mistaken for intelligence. But let's get one thing straight: if your idea isn't clear, it's not powerful. If you can't explain it simply, you don't truly understand it. And if you can't move forward without 14 spreadsheets, 7 frameworks, and 3 opinions, you're not building, you're hiding. We complicate things because we're afraid. Afraid of being wrong, afraid of being seen starting small, afraid of failure, so we add more to our plans, more steps, more tech, more jargon, but more is not better. More is just noise if it's not aligned with your actual goal. Clarity cuts through that noise, it sharpens your vision, it gives you the edge, the direction, and the power to move fast and with confidence. The truth is, complexity creates hesitation. When your idea is cluttered, your actions are scattered. You feel stuck not because you lack motivation, but because you lack focus. And focus doesn't come from doing everything, it comes from knowing exactly what you need to do next. Clarity gives you that next step. Not all the steps, just the next one, and that's all you need to build momentum. Most people don't fail because they had a bad idea. They fail because they couldn't explain it clearly, not to others, and more importantly, not to themselves. If your idea is foggy, your strategy will be fragile. You'll burn energy trying to convince people to believe in it when you haven't fully committed to it yourself. But when you have clarity, you speak differently. You show up with certainty. You attract people because confidence is magnetic and clarity breeds confidence. Ask yourself, what am I really building? Strip it down. If you can't explain your idea in one sentence, you're not ready to scale it. And it's okay, because the goal isn't perfection, it's refinement. Get obsessed with simplifying. Challenge yourself to say more with less, because when you're clear, people listen, teams move, customers understand. Investors lean in, everything accelerates. You do not need to know all the answers. You don't need a 10-step funnel. You don't need a logo or a perfect brand kit to start. You need clarity. What problem are you solving? Who are you solving it for? And how are you going to get the first version out the door? That's it. Anything beyond that is extra right now. Let it go. If it's not serving your clarity, it's slowing your progress. The world doesn't need more complex thinkers, it needs more decisive leaders. People who can walk into a room, state the mission, and align everyone behind it. And alignment doesn't come from complexity. It comes from vision communicated simply and repeatedly. Your team can't follow what they don't understand. Your customers won't buy what they can't explain. So stop trying to impress, start trying to connect. Here's what most people forget. Simplicity doesn't make you small. It makes you sharp. It makes you scalable. Think about the most powerful brands in the world. They are clear. One message, one promise, one emotion, and they repeat it over and over until it sticks. That's how empires are built, not on complexity, on clarity, conviction, and consistency. If your idea isn't clear to you, that's your first project. Before you post, pitch, or build, sit with it. Journal about it, talk it out loud, cut what isn't essential. The goal isn't to say everything, it's to say the right thing, because the right message at the right time to the right person changes everything. But only if it's understood. We often underestimate how powerful simplicity is because it feels too easy. But clarity isn't easy, it takes work. It takes discipline to strip away the fluff, the ego, the overthinking. It takes courage to say, this is what I do and this is who it's for. But once you have that, you have your North Star, you have direction, you have freedom, because clarity frees up your energy to do what matters most: execute. So if you're waiting to feel ready, if you're waiting to have everything figured out, pause and check. Are you actually waiting for more answers, or are you avoiding the truth that you haven't gotten clear yet? Because clarity is not a gift you wait for, it's a decision you make. You decide to focus, you decide to refine, you decide to move forward with purpose, not perfection. That one idea you're holding onto it deserves to live. But before you build it, simplify it, get clear, get honest, get focused, because clarity over complexity isn't just a mindset, it's a strategy, and it's the one that gets results. Perfection is the illusion that keeps more dreams buried than failure ever could. We tell ourselves we're preparing, improving, polishing, but what we're really doing is procrastinating. Execution is what moves you forward. Execution is what teaches. Execution is what separates people who talk about doing things from the people who actually do them. The truth is, perfection is a stall tactic. It's a comfortable excuse that makes you feel productive while keeping you stuck. The idea that you have to wait until everything is flawless before you launch, speak, share, or act, it's a lie. It's a lie dressed in logic, but here's the reality. Progress does not happen in theory. Progress happens in motion. You will never perfect your process without putting it into the world. You can sit on a business idea for years trying to design the perfect logo, map the perfect customer journey, or write the perfect pitch, but the real growth, the real insight comes the moment you actually do something with it. Waiting for perfection means you're prioritizing your ego over your mission, because perfection is about how you look, execution is about who you help, and if you're really here to make a difference, then done is better than perfect. Progress beats polish. Impact matters more than aesthetics. You can't inspire anyone if your work never leaves your laptop. You can't build anything meaningful if you keep trying to make version 1 look like version 10. It's okay for your first version to be messy. It's okay to start small, to start with flaws. That's not failure, that's how mastery is built. You learn faster when you do the thing, when you try and adjust in real time. Perfection isolates you from feedback. Execution gives you clarity. When you launch something, post something, build something, you get data, you get reactions, you get results. That's how you grow. That's how you improve, not by guessing, but by doing. Every leader you admire started with a rough draft. Every product you love launched imperfectly. Every brand you follow made awkward first steps. They didn't wait until it was perfect. They moved, they executed, and they got better along the way. You're no different. You don't need more time. You don't need more credentials. You don't need someone's permission. What you need is to start. What you need is to show up consistently, because consistency compounds and perfection never scales. Perfection will rob you of your momentum. You'll spend hours tweaking a post that no one sees. You'll overplan a strategy and never test it. You'll tell yourself you're not ready, and that's exactly what will make it true. Execution doesn't care how ready you feel. Execution asks, did you do the thing or not? That's it. No overthinking, no overanalyzing, just action. And here's the magic. Every time you execute, you gain evidence. You start to prove to yourself that you can handle more, that you can learn, lead, and grow. But none of that happens if you're still hiding behind perfect. It's not about lowering your standards. It's about redefining what good looks like. A good leader moves, a good builder tests, a good creator shares. Perfectionists talk themselves into inaction. Executors evolve. If your work makes you cringe 6 months from now, good, that means you're growing. That means you've moved. That means you've built. There's no shame in launching version 1. There's shame in never launching at all. What people respect isn't your polish, it's your persistence. What makes you trustworthy is that you keep showing up, not that everything you put out is flawless. Perfection is a highlight reel. Execution is the behind the scenes work that builds the real story, and people resonate with that. They connect with truth, not with filters, so let your work be real. Let it be raw, let it be out there, because that's where it actually helps someone. You can always make it better, you can always iterate, but you can't improve what you don't launch, you can't scale what doesn't exist. Stop waiting for the conditions to be perfect, they won't be. Stop waiting to feel 100% confident, you probably won't, but you can act anyway, you can build anyway, you can post, pitch, create, sell anyway. And that's where momentum starts. Perfection won't protect you. It will only delay you, and while you're waiting, someone else is launching. Someone else is learning. Someone else is owning the space you're still thinking about entering. Let that sink in. The people who win are not the ones with the most perfect ideas. They're the ones who executed when it wasn't ready, who trusted themselves enough to ship, even when it was scary. So if you're holding back because something isn't perfect, yet remind yourself the world doesn't need perfect. The world needs you in motion, in progress, in pursuit of what matters. Perfection can wait. Execution can't. Everyone has ideas. Everywhere you turn, someone is talking about something they could do, might build, or plan to start. And most of those ideas are good, some even great. But the truth is, ideas on their own are worthless. They don't move the needle. They don't generate results. They don't change lives. What separates the person who talks from the one who builds is not the quality of the idea. It's the level of commitment behind it. Commitment is the difference maker. It's what turns a spark into a fire and a fire into a legacy. You can have a brilliant idea, but without the discipline, the consistency, and the daily grind, it's just mental clutter. It's another note in your phone, another conversation with no follow through, and that's not because people are lazy. It's because commitment is uncomfortable. It asks more from you than inspiration ever will. Ideas give you a high, commitment brings you the reality check. Committing to an idea means showing up when it's not exciting anymore. It means putting in the work when no one's clapping, when no one's watching, and when the results are slow. That's where most people give up, not because their idea didn't work, but because they weren't willing to work through the resistance, because commitment isn't glamorous, it's not always fun, but it's the only way you'll ever see something through. There's a myth that success comes from finding the right idea, so we keep searching. We bounce from one project to another, waiting for the one that feels perfect. But the truth is, success doesn't come from the best idea, it comes from the idea you decide to commit to day after day, whether it's easy or not. The most successful people aren't the ones with a million ideas. They're the ones who picked one and stuck with it long after the mood left. Commitment looks like boring days. It looks like reworking what didn't land. It looks like holding your vision even when the path feels uncertain. It's not about intensity, it's about endurance. Anyone can be excited for a week, but can you keep going for a month, a year? Can you keep showing up when it gets quiet, when it gets lonely, when it gets hard? That's what commitment demands. Ideas are everywhere, they're easy. You can come up with 10 in an hour, but staying loyal to one idea, building it, testing it, improving it, that's where most people fall off. Not because they're not capable, but because they underestimated what real commitment takes. It's more than effort, it's sacrifice, it's turning down distractions, it's being willing to look foolish while you figure it out. It's choosing growth over comfort every single time. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Commitment will cost you. It will cost you time, energy, comfort, and sometimes relationships. But it will also give you something that no quick idea ever can. Results. You can't shortcut commitment. You can't fake it. And you can't outsource it. It's a decision you make and remake every day. The market doesn't care how many ideas you have, it cares about what you build. Your clients, your team, your audience, they care about what you actually execute, and no one is going to chase your dream for you. No one's going to hold you accountable like you can. That's the weight and the power of commitment. When you realize it's all on you, something shifts. You stop waiting, you stop overthinking, you start doing. You'll get tired, you'll get tempted to pivot when it gets hard. You'll want to chase the next shiny thing. But the people who win are the ones who keep their heads down and build anyway. They aren't emotionally attached to how easy or hard it feels. They're locked in on the mission. They understand that real momentum comes from doing the unsexy work consistently. An idea can change your life, but only if you commit to it, not just when it's convenient. Not just when the motivation is high, but especially when it's not, especially when you're doubting yourself. That's when commitment matters most, because on the other side of that resistance is everything you want: growth, impact, results, freedom. But you'll never get there if you keep quitting at the first sign of friction. So stop glorifying ideas. Everyone has them. Start glorifying the work. Start glorifying the early mornings, the late nights, the rejections, the pivots, the messy drafts, because that's where it actually happens. That's where ideas turn into something real. You don't need a better idea. You need better follow through. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a decision to commit right now, not when it's easier. Not when it's guaranteed, because it never will be. Ideas are cheap, commitment is not, and if you want to build something that lasts, you have to pay the price. Every breakthrough begins in the same place: a thought. One small idea, a whisper in your mind that says, "What if?" That thought alone might seem insignificant, but it holds the potential to transform everything: your business, your relationships, your future. The challenge is, most people stop at the thought. They feel inspired for a moment, they write it down, maybe even talk about it, but they never take it beyond the imagination stage. And that's the difference between people who dream and people who build. Transformation doesn't happen in your head, it happens in motion. The space between thought and transformation is filled with work, and not just physical work, mental work. The process of rewiring how you think, how you operate, how you respond to fear, pressure, and discomfort. Because every idea that becomes something real has to survive the resistance that comes right after it. That resistance is the gap between what's possible and what's practiced. It's your old habits trying to pull you back into what's familiar. But if you can push through that space, if you can hold on to the thought long enough to turn it into action, you've already separated yourself from most. You see, transformation isn't one big leap. It's a series of tiny, intentional choices. Choosing to act when it's easier to think, choosing to speak when it's safer to stay quiet, choosing to build when you could just keep dreaming. Every time you act on an idea, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more. You start stacking belief, and belief is what sustains transformation when the results don't show up right away, because they won't, not at first, but the shift is still happening in your mindset, in your identity, in your momentum. And momentum is the secret, because a thought has no weight. It floats, it fades, but action gives it mass. The more you move, the more real it becomes. You talk differently. You carry yourself differently. You start attracting opportunities that match the version of you that's in motion. People don't respond to what you're thinking about. They respond to what you're building. That's why so many good ideas go unnoticed. They never leave someone's head. Transformation demands visibility. You have to put your work out there before it's perfect. You have to make decisions before you feel completely ready. You have to risk being misunderstood before you can be truly seen. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's scary, but that's part of the process. Discomfort is not a sign that something's wrong, it's a sign that you're stretching, that you're moving beyond what you used to settle for. That you're choosing expansion over safety. Every successful person you admire has walked this path, from the first awkward version of their product to the first time they pitched their idea in front of someone who didn't believe in them. They had to keep moving anyway. They had to keep trusting the thought long enough to let it evolve into something powerful. You're not behind. You're not unqualified. You just have to start where they started, with belief, with execution, and with a refusal to quit. And make no mistake, transformation is personal before it's professional. You can't build something that outgrows your own mindset. You can't lead others past places you're afraid to go yourself. So if you want your idea to create external impact, it has to create internal change first. That means doing the work, facing the doubt, rewriting the narrative that says you're not enough, not ready, not capable, because you are. But belief without action is wasted power, and action without clarity becomes chaos. You need both vision and movement, thought and execution. This is the season where you stop holding back, where you stop recycling the same dreams without ever giving them legs. You've thought about it long enough. You've planned, you've imagined, now it's time to build, Time to give your idea a structure, a timeline, a team, a message, because ideas can't live in isolation. They need structure, they need support. They need direction. That's when they grow. That's when they scale. That's when the transformation becomes undeniable. You don't need to know how it'll all unfold. You just need to trust the first step. One decision, one email, one offer, one post, whatever it is, take the step and then another, and then another. Watch what happens when you refuse to let your idea stay just a thought. Watch how fast things shift when you commit to moving, even without certainty. Because this is how it works, a thought becomes a decision becomes a habit becomes a result, and a result becomes a new identity. That's the transformation, and it all starts with one choice: to stop thinking about it and start building it. Ideas are powerful, but they're not self-sufficient. No matter how inspiring, how visionary, or how disruptive your idea is, if it doesn't have structure, it will stay exactly where it started, in your head. Great ideas don't build themselves. They need systems to give them form and teams to give them scale. Without those two things, even your best idea will eventually burn out from lack of momentum, clarity, or execution. We glorify the initial spark, the creative rush, that late night moment when everything finally clicks. But what happens the next day, when the adrenaline wears off, when real life kicks in? That's where most ideas start to fade. Not because they weren't good enough, but because they didn't have a home to live in. They didn't have a place to grow, a process to support them, or people who could bring them to life. Systems are not the opposite of creativity. Systems are what protect creativity. They keep your idea alive on the hard days. They eliminate the chaos, the guesswork, the constant reactivity. A good system tells you what to do next, so you don't burn mental energy trying to figure it out every time. It lets you replicate success, improve your results, and stay focused on the bigger vision without getting stuck in the weeds. Without systems, your idea is constantly starting over. You waste time repeating the same tasks. You miss deadlines, you drop the ball on follow-through, and eventually the idea feels like a burden instead of a breakthrough. But with systems, your idea becomes sustainable. You move from just working on the idea to actually building the infrastructure around it. That's when momentum starts to build. That's when your idea turns into a business, a movement, a brand, not just a project. But systems alone aren't enough, because no idea was ever scaled by one person. If you want your idea to grow beyond your capacity, you need people. You need a team, and not just any team. You need the right people. People who believe in the vision, people who fill your gaps. People who can execute where you can't, think differently than you, and push the idea further than you ever could on your own. Too many people try to do everything themselves. They think that being the most talented or most motivated person in the room is enough. But talent without delegation leads to burnout. Motivation without support leads to inconsistency. You are not meant to carry your idea alone. You're meant to lead it, and leadership isn't about doing it all. It's about building a structure and a culture that allows the idea to thrive even when you step away. Building a team means releasing control over perfection and trusting progress. It means letting go of the belief that no one can do it as well as you, and instead focusing on how to empower people to do it even better. That takes courage, that takes communication, that takes systems that support the team, not just the idea. When systems and teams work together, your idea gets a home, a real one, not a folder in your laptop or a page in your journal, but an actual engine that keeps it moving forward. Meetings have purpose. Tasks have owners, deadlines are met, resources are tracked, progress is measured. That's not boring, that's how you win. That's how your idea becomes unstoppable. Think of your idea like a seed. The potential is there, but it needs soil, water, and sunlight. That's what systems and teams are. They are the environment your idea grows in. Without them, the seed stays dormant. With them, it has a chance to become something so much bigger than you originally imagined. It's not enough to dream. It's not enough to execute alone. You need a repeatable way to get results, and you need a community around you to bring those results to life. That's how ideas scale. That's how movements begin. That's how leaders are built. So if your idea feels stuck, ask yourself, does it have a home? Does it have systems that support its growth? Does it have people who are invested in its success? Or are you trying to carry it all yourself, hoping inspiration will strike again? Build the system, build the team, give your idea more than just energy, give it structure, give it the right foundation, because when you stop carrying your idea and start housing it, you don't just make it real. You make it resilient, you make it sustainable, you give it the power to live far beyond you. Ideas are only as strong as the home you build around them, so build one worth growing in.